something really cool just happened. I got to be somebody's spiritual sign today. Bruce and I were sitting at a table, and someone came by who was asking for a spiritual sign that the universe was listening and to have connections and contacts, because she's all alone in another country without people who really understand where she's at with the spirituality and everything. And oh, by the way, I'm not driving, I promise. See? No steering wheel right there. There was an argument in another video before that I must be making a video while I'm driving. I promise I'm not. But anyway, isn't that really cool? I got to be somebody's answer to a prayer. She said that she was praying and asking for some kind of sign that the universe was listening, and that there was other people in the world who felt the way she does about what's going on with the pandemic and the lockdown in the world and situations and all this stuff, and had the same spiritual insights that she does, the same spiritual perspective. And then there we were. We just by chance happened to stop at this gas station. We didn't have time to stop because we had an appointment and we were a little late, but we were like, you know what, we're so hungry, we've got to get something. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna run down to that little store and buy a bottle of water at least, and maybe a snack. And then by the time I was there and got the water and everything, and the snack, I was like, you know what, we might as well just sit down and eat it, because it's just going to be a mess in the car. It would only take us 10 minutes to eat it. So we sat down, we ate it, we were eating, and she walked by and just looked at us, because, you know, maybe we look spiritual. Maybe Bruce looks a little more incognito and more conservative. What do you think, Bruce? Are you a incognito kind of guy?
Far more conservative than him.
I definitely look like a flower child hippie, huh? What do you think?
Most of the time.
And so she just kind of stopped and looked at me, and we started. Bruce was inside at the moment and just looked at me and just couldn't stop staring. And then I just was smiling at her and just said hi and how are you, and then she just started talking, and her name is Ginger. I love her name. And really sweet lady, really nice lady. She's an older lady in Ecuador here by herself, and she just started talking to me, and then as we started talking, then she realized that she would ask me some questions and I'd answer them just the same way that she hoped somebody who understood things the way she does would answer, and was like, oh my God, you're an answer to my prayer. I was just asking the universe to prove to me that it was listening and that there were people who I could connect with and people like me, and I'm like, well, here we are. And she literally started crying. She started crying and was like, oh my God, I'm so new at all this, and I just started with all this, and it's real, isn't it? It's really real. And she said, I believe, and I see signs all the time, the numbers, the synchronicities, but this one was just like a really loud and clear synchronicity for her. And I just feel so happy that I got to be somebody's spiritual sign today, that the universe was listening. So whenever somebody wants to connect with you, even though it's a stranger, at first I was like, oh, well, you know, I don't have time, I'm in a rush, I have to go, I don't have time to have a conversation. But I did make time for that conversation, and it didn't take very long. It might have made things last 5 minutes longer than it would have, but it was really important for her to have that experience today. And to me, it wasn't that much of a sacrifice. I was already late, so 5 minutes more to bless someone and give them a little bit of a spiritual blessing of just some love and just some sweetness, and just, I put my hand on my heart and just looked at her and said, don't worry, you're not alone. And she just started crying, and I said, you're not alone, there's a lot of us here, a lot of us free thinkers, spiritual thinkers, philosophers. There's a lot of us here. I know anybody who's probably listening to this video is probably one of those free thinkers, philosophers, spiritual thinkers. So when you're asked to be a sign for somebody, do it. Take the time, make the time. Don't think, okay, well, I don't have time for this conversation. I don't have time for this. If somebody's really looking like they need to connect with you, just say hi. Just say hi. It doesn't take a lot of effort, and it's not dangerous to say hi. And, it reminds me of another time. Well, first I wanted to say that we're all each other's signs. Somehow we're all the answer to each other's prayer. I have had many people be the answer to my prayer and be right there at that special moment when it was time I needed to connect with somebody. There was one time I was on Mount Shasta. I was hiking, and there was a woman up on the mountain further up, and there was usually hardly anybody there because I got to be there during the year of the avalanche that closed all the roads, which made it so I had Mount Shasta all to myself for a whole summer and a fall. Basically, Squaw Meadows was mine. And rarely did anybody go up there because the cars couldn't get there because the avalanche was blocking the road. That had already happened. And I saw this woman walking not that far away, but up on the mountain. And I don't know, something just told me to, go give this woman this little crystal that I had in my pocket. And I was like, oh my God, I can't approach a stream. It was like a spirit message that just would not leave me alone. And I'm very intuitive, and I'm listening to spirit messages all the time, and getting messages on what to do in a moment to help somebody sometimes. And I didn't think, okay, some stranger's going to walk up to you and give you a crystal? That would be so weird. I mean, wouldn't that weird you out if somebody... Well, I guess it would make you feel good if some stranger walked up to you and gave you a crystal, but... So I went up to her, and I gave her this crystal and just said, for some reason I'm supposed to give this to you, and I don't know why, but I just... Here's a little crystal that I have, and I just wanted you to have it. And then she just broke down in tears, and I was surprised, and because I thought she'd kind of just look at me weird, like, okay, somebody up beyond the mountain gave me a crystal, and it turns out that she lost a friend there on the mountain. A friend died there. I can't remember exactly the story, but a friend died there on Mount Shasta, or somehow, I'm not quite sure what happened. I don't remember the story. It was like 20 years ago this happened. And she said, this is a message from my friend that she's okay and that everything is good, because she was so into crystals. She was super into crystals. And I was just like floored. I was still really young on the spiritual path at that time. I was only in my early 20s, and it made me a believer in following these messages that I've gotten sometimes to be the sign for someone else. Not that I'm trying to be a sign, just sometimes I get a message, that person just really needs somebody to say hi, or somebody to give them a hug, or, give them like a bag of chips or something, or whatever. Just somebody needs a gesture. And small gestures, even just a smile, sitting on the bus, just giving somebody a smile who looks like they could really use a friendly face. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because when you're called on to be a sign for someone, do it. It might really make somebody's day. All right, over and out. 007 Secret Agents of Love.